Okay, so hello, this is my Blender tutorials, the first one I'm doing. Okay, so today we're going to learn the basics of modeling in Blender. Right down here we have, you can see what I'm pressing. See when I left click, when I right click, and right now I'm using my touchpad, so there is no middle click, but if I were to use that, you would see that as well. Anyway, so what we're going to learn how to make today is we're going to make a mug using some good old modeling. So when you first load into Blender, you will, this will not be the screen you see, you will see a cube, a light, and a camera. I have it set so that it does not show up, but what you're going to want to do, if it is there, you'll see the cube, you'll see the light, and you will see the camera. What you want to do, you just want to press A to select all, and you want to press delete to delete the object. And after that, I'm going to add a cube. You can see just a normal cube. Now today we're going to be turning this cube into a mug using three things: modeling, modifiers, and texture nodes. Now, first thing we're going to do is actually use a modifier. So we're going to go to add modifier, generate subdivision surface. I'm going to go here to levels viewport, push this up to 2. Now a different way to do this, so we press this to remove the modifier. Different way to do this would be to press Control, then while holding down Control, press 2. That will automatically add a subdivision surface modifier with 2 levels added, and you can do this with any number up to 6. We can do Control 3, 4, 5, and 6. And it will give us our subdivision surface. Right now we're going to stick with 2 levels in viewport and 3 levels in render, right, so that we get a nicer model in the rendering. Anyways, now we're going to press Tab to switch to edit mode. You can also go to this button up here and change. There are, at the moment, 6 modes that you can switch between. We're only going to be using object mode and edit mode for here. So you want to go to edit mode, and then you can also use these buttons, but what I like to do is press 1 for vertex select. Press 1 for vertex select. Vertices is the plural of it, and you press G to move them. Now this also works with moving, oops, sorry. It also works with moving objects in the 3D space, as well as moving edges. You can get 2 by pressing 2. And moving faces, which you can get to by pressing 3. As you can see, this deforms the mesh in different ways. What we're going to be using primarily is the face select and edge select. And so, first thing we're going to do is we're going to press G to move this top face, and then Z to lock it to the Z axis, so that we can only move it up or down. We're going to move that down about halfway. Now we have this squished cube. Now we're going to press S and scale it a little bit. Now this also works in object mode with scaling objects, and it works with sides, and does not work with vertices, but that is because they are a single point. Now the next step is we're going to press E to extrude, and that will extrude it along whichever way it is facing, right? Extrude it up, and then we're going to, with this face selected, press Delete, and then select Faces. Now we have the basis of our mug, and so just so you know, I'm using my... So what you usually use to move around is you would use this middle mouse button right here, and hold it down and move your mouse along. I'm using my trackpad, and so what I do with that is I put both fingers on the trackpad and then move them along the trackpad. And if you want to move physically, you hold down and either do these two fingers or hold down your middle mouse button. You can also zoom in or out with middle mouse button or your fingers. Anyways, next thing we're going to do is we're going to add another modifier. This one does not have a keybind, but you go in, you can press search and search solidify. That will add a solidify modifier, which does exactly what you would think it does. It makes it more solid. So all we're going to use right now is this thickness slider, and be careful to put this. So pressing this, you can move the modifier. You want your solidify modifier to be above your subdivision surface modifier. And here's why. When it's above it, and we slide this, you can see it's a nice, smooth, solid, right? But then if we move it down below it, it's now flat. And that's something that you really have to watch out for when modeling, because the order goes from up to down. So what it'll do is it'll solidify it like this in the code, and then it will use the subdivision surface modifier to smooth it out. Now, you'll see this on my screen. This is an add-on I have. You can enable it by going to Edit, Preferences, Get Extensions, and typing in UR Autosave. Go down here, or go down here. There will be an Install button, and then you can activate it in add-ons by doing again Autosave and enabling it right here. It'll basically remind you how long it's been since you last saved. It's really helpful, and to save, you press Control and S, and it saves your file. Anyways, what we're going to do next is, now that we're happy with our thickness, we're going to right-click and press Shade Smooth. Gives us a nice, smooth mesh to work with. Now we're going to add another cube. We're going to press S and 0.3. That will scale it to 30% of its scale. Then I'm going to press the X. It'll either be X or Y depending on where you are. I'm going to press X and then G, and that will move this, but only along the Z or the Y axis. And move that right around here. This is going to make our handle. So now we're going to press Control and 2, or Control and 1 to add our subdivision surface modifier, and I'm not very happy with this scale, so I'm going to press X and 2. Scale it to 200% its scale. Now we're going to press Tab to go into edit mode, and you can see that this doesn't line up with this. That's because we're using a modifier, so it only changes what you see, not what it is in edit mode. Now I'm going to go into edit mode. Going to press A to select all the vertices. I'm going to press Shift and D, and that will duplicate our mesh. Now, I'm not looking right on it, and so you can see it's now uneven. To undo, you're going to do Control Z, and that will undo the last action, which was moving it and duplicating it. So With it selected, again, we're going to press Control D, or Shift D, sorry, and then Shift X, so that now it won't move along the X axis and only the Z and the Y. We're going to move this right around here on the cup, and we're actually going to go back into edit mode. Now, to only select one object, actually look at one of its vertices, or press 3 to go into face select and press L. That will select the linked faces, edges, or vertices, and that will only select one object. Now what we're going to do is we're going to press L, then we're going to move this with G along the Y axis, so that doesn't go through the cup. And now we're going to do an extrusion out, and we're going to rotate it with R, and move it down like this. Do the opposite for this. Extrude it out, R, and move it. And then now what we're going to do, we're going to select one vertice on this thing, on this part of the handle, and the closest one on this part of the handle. And now we're going to press M to merge, and then at center. And we're going to do that with all the vertices. So M at center, M at center, and M center. Now you'll notice it looks kind of choppy here. That's because if we zoom all the way into the mesh, we have a face right here that we don't want. So what we're going to do is select that, press delete, and then faces. And that gives us a nice smooth handle. I'm actually going to make it a bit bigger by just selecting these and moving them along the Y. So that gives us our nice handle, and I'm going to increase these subdivisions to 2 and then press Shade Smooth. Now here's our cup. Not the best looking, not the worst looking, but it's a simple cup. Also, another thing that I'm going to teach you is Alt S is like the shrink and flatten. So you can use it to make things thinner, thicker. I'm going to use it to make this handle a little bit thinner. Right, a little bit more realistic. Okay, so now we have our cup. Now, chances are, load in and be an Eevee render engine. Now, this is completely up to you, all these next steps. Depends on how good your computer is. For me, I like using Cycles Render Engine. You can go by pressing this little TV thing, Render Properties, going to Scene, and then changing it here. The only ones that you ever really want to use are Eevee or Cycles. Eevee is better used if you're making a cartoon, and Cycles is better used when you're trying to make something realistic. So I'm going to use Cycles for this, but you can use Eevee if you want. So now, I'm going to go to this tab. It's called the Shading tab. I'm going to press it. It's going to bring us to our tab. You can see it puts us up here different, right? If we go back to Layout, you can see we're in this thing, Viewport Shading. But if we go to Shading, it changes us to Material Preview. And that's really important for what we want to do. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to press New right here in our Material slot. Now, once we press New, we can see we get these things. These are nodes. Now, they may look really confusing, and that is okay. They can be at some times. But right now, we're only going to use this principled BSDF. This is the thing that'll make it so that it has shadows, it has shading, it has roughness, all that fancy stuff. I'm only going to use this right now. And so, here's all we're going to do. We're going to keep it white as our base color. I'm going to change this roughness. It's just a slider. I'm going to put that all the way down. Then we're going to go to IOR. We're just going to tap it and do 1.333. Now this is the basis of our glass. Then I'm going to select this and select this and press Control J. Oops, that was wrong. We're actually not going to do that. We're going to keep these as two separate objects. Press this button and press material so that these share a material. Then for the final thing we want to do is just press transmission and put this all the way up. Now in viewport and in the material preview, it may look kind of shiny and like just too shiny, and that's okay, that's okay. Now next thing we're gonna do is add mesh plane. Now for some reason on mine it wants to be huge when I add it. This will not happen on yours. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to press Z to move it down and just make it so that it looks like our glass is right on top of this. Now for me, I'm going to shrink it down real quick, and I want you to know this is not going to happen with your Blender file. So what we're going to do is do this if you have a good lap PC. If it is not a good PC, it may explode. The way to prevent that is by going into Eevee Render Engine. Now you can see when we go to this render view, it all looks stupid, right? You can't really see anything. To fix that, we're going to add, go to light, and add a sun. And now we have a nice little sun. So in Eevee, this looks stupid. All we're going to do is press ray tracing. And, anyway, so we're going to want to render this in cycles. Right, in cycles we can see we have a nice little mug guy. Mug man, if you will. Looks nice. Going to add camera. Press 0 on your number pad to go into the camera, and then press this little lock icon so that now once you move your viewport with these same buttons, it also moves your camera. Just going to put the camera right about here. Go into this world properties, it looks like a globe. Press it, go to color, get the slider, so it'll change your background color. We're just going to put it all the way down to black. Now we're going to go to render. Here in render, I'm going to do max samples. This may be something different. I have it set to 2048. For this, we're going to set it to 116. Now, we want to make sure that this is a multiplier of 8, or something near a multiplier of 8. I don't know why. Not a tech genius, but the computer handles it a lot better that way. You can see last save 10 minutes ago. We're going to press Control S. And finally, what we're going to do is just going to go to Output. Press this little file icon. I'm going to go to Pictures. I'm going to add a folder with this button. Just name it something like tutorial mug. You press accept. Down here it will be the name of your file. So I'm going to make it mug. Press accept. Keep everything else the same. And just press render image. Now, as you can see, you can't see it right now, but it is rendering. And that will be it for this little tutorial on how to make a mug in Blender. I know that it wasn't the greatest. I'm still trying to get used to how to do these things. If you have any input on how I could improve, please put it in the comments. And if you would like another one on how to do other stuff, I would be happy to do that. God bless everyone. Goodbye.